The Phoenix Pharmacy was completed in 1922 by two pharmacists named Hamilton and Leach from Leach Botanical Gardens. It's the second iteration of a building they called the Phoenix. The Phoenix was an original building diagonal across the street that was a pharmacy that they bought from a shady builder that built a pharmacy or built a building, insured it for fire, burned it down, rebuilt the building with the insurance money, insured it for fire, burned it down, and the third time he rebuilt it, no one would insure him, so he sold it literally at a fire sale to Hamilton and Leach. Those pharmacists had an active business in there that grew enough to where they could afford to build a new building, which is what they did with this one. They broke ground on it. 3 years later, they had it done. They dubbed it the Phoenix Pharmacy to keep the name the same because that building had risen from the ashes a couple times. And so everybody also knew it as Phoenix Pharmacy. Upstairs, there are 5 different suites now that are offices. But back in the day, there were dental offices and surgeons, and they would basically perform the surgery on you, and then they would send you down here for your pharmaceutical needs.
And you're on the National Register of Historic Places.
We are on the National Register of Historic Places. That happened a year after we got occupancy, which means we cannot change the storefront at all, which is great, because that means this building will stay in perpetuity, which is what we were hoping when we started to salvage it.
So it's been used for storage.
It was used for storage.
For this remodel, right?
It was basically boarded up from 1999 to 2022 when we reopened the doors to the public. Originally a pharmacy, and then became Rexall Pharmacy in the 50s, and then was a VHS rental place in the 80s, because that was big back then. And it also did, because that was when the Central Phone Company deregulated having to lease their phones from the company, and people were able to buy and purchase their own phones. So they
I had an old Erica phone, so I love those vintage phones.
Yeah,
they you couldn't technically own.
They would sell them for $5 here, refurbished. So we had all these signs, yellow signs with black paint saying $5 phones. And then it was a video store. So there were offices upstairs that were kind of walled off. And then they had the pharmaceutical counter. I don't know if it was here, But then around the edges, they had little rooms, little suites. Like one would sell kitchenwares, one would sell living room stuff. So you could go in, and while you're waiting for your prescription to be filled, you could get your coffee maker, or you could get your pan set or whatever. So it was basically designed as not a one-stop shop, because there was obviously grocery stores lining the road as well. But because it was on the light rail, they wanted to make it as easy and convenient for people that were waiting for either their surgeries or for their prescriptions to be able to get some other business done.
You tempted me. I met you at a game store. And you said something that you had a great story about the safe that I knew we'd want to get on.
Not built to code in the 20s, but not to code now. No handrails, 8x8 construction. Very.
You really know about this building.
Yep. So one cool thing about the history of the Phoenix Pharmacy, and that has risen from the ashes and then taken over this building. I'll take you in here. You can actually see that. This building has also been on fire. That's all char.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So it's literally the Phoenix Pharmacy, and this particular iteration of it has also risen from the ashes.
And those are fire break boards too.
Sidewalks. So this is the original basically now 4-year-old safe, or 103-year-old safe. Original, basically hand-painted logo from the Pacific Coast Safe and Vault Works. We don't know the combination, so we don't lock it. We do have, where is it in here? There is, oh yeah. This also has the secondary safe doors. This is where we store Santa in the off season. Don't tell the kids that Santa's stuffed in a closet, but you can see that on these shelves back here,
this would have been for pharmaceuticals. That's why it's so large.
This would have been for pharmaceuticals, and not just pharmaceuticals, the opioids, the ones that were addictive. Back in the day, they kept them in glass bottles, and they would portion them out based on gram weight. And so this is where everything they wanted to lock down. And when you're in here, it's a very, very small space, like scary small. I don't even want to be in here. And it didn't have a light back then. So back in the day.
Would there have been vault lighting to light the interior back in the day?
They definitely had electric, because it was piped for electric, but we didn't see any of the original light fixtures down there. We saw some of them upstairs. So back in the day, Hamilton and Leach were robbed at knife point, and the assailant, after basically clearing out the cash registers, was trying to think how we would make a clean getaway, because it could easily run out and alert the myriad of businesses that were on the street. So his fancy idea was to lock Hamilton and Leach in this vault. And as he backed them into the vault at knife point and wanted them to close the door, he noticed a fun like fob watch, as was the style of the day on Hamilton. And he said, "Oh, I'll take that watch too." And Hamilton, thinking he's probably going to die or at least be in here for a long time, was just like, "Here's the watch." They all looked at it, and when the criminal, the greedy one, bent down to get it, they took the bottles and they pummeled him until he was unconscious. That's the reason they made it out of the safe. So if you look at the Oregonian News Report, which the owner of the building has, it says no one was harmed in the incident except for the assailant. So that's one of my favorite stories about the safe down here.
What's awesome about this is not only can we probably find historic articles about it in the newspapers, but they probably booked the guy.
Oh yeah. I can connect you with Matt Froman.
I met him once. He took me behind the second project he worked on.
The one with the bike place that's right by my house.
Where the bike place, it's no longer a bike place, yeah.
You know, it is. They just moved 2 doors down. It's now, yeah.
But where the Speedboat coffee shop is.
And he's working on another one now called Busy Corner.
Okay.
It's over on 45th, maybe, as you're heading south towards Woodstock. And it's also like a really old school, like 1920s, 1930s grocery store with apartments on the top.
You know, I was super excited when I started designing this tour. And I knew part of the idea was to be bringing people to shop. And even in the design phase, I came here and I bought a kayak. So COVID had just ended, pretty much, and you had purchased a lot of kayaks.
Yeah.
And so I told Berkeley this is where I got his brother's kayak.
Yeah, no, this is good.
And I hit it. Can you imagine hiding a kayak until Christmas? But I did.
It's challenging. We've had people do it, so you can't see it back here, but back where that Hydro Flask sign is, there was a brick wall and a steel door, and then behind that brick wall and steel door, there was a giant, as tall as me, 4-foot wide boiler.
Yeah.
That basically heated the pipes for the building, and it was completely wrapped in asbestos. So that's why they kept it behind the fire door, because they wanted to protect it from fire. But when we got the building, there's a construction company here called Lawrence Brunn, which does a lot of giant projects. And Brunn from Lawrence Brunn was like, "Hey, I heard you guys have a 100-year-old boiler in your basement." He's like, "If you guys pay for half of the radon mitigation, which is like probably $600, he's like, I'll remove it." And to remove this thing is basically like taking a pickup truck out of there. So he had a team come in for 4 days, break down the wall after the asbestos was all mitigated, broke down the wall, welded brazons onto this thing. They brought it over here to our historic sidewalk vault.
See, that's what I was hoping for. Oh, you've got that.
Yeah, because they had measured the sidewalk vault, and it cleared by an inch on each side, and then they dropped chains down and connected them to the brazons that they welded in place, and then they used the forklift to hoist that thing out super slowly, and then they used the forklift to basically remove it and put it on a flatbed truck.
We used to live in the Wickersham on Northwest 18th, and we had a huge boiler, and they last so long here because our water is such high quality.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of particulate, so you end up with these boiler systems, steam boiler heat, that in other parts of the country, because the heavy mineral deposits would have been long put out of service.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for giving us a basement tour, because I can't bring my tour groups down here.
Yeah.
So that's why we're videotaping it, because we want to have people see stuff. But we will not be bringing the guests down here. I promise.